Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a review and slight comparison with the new Primark Radiant Beam Jelly Highlighter. And the comparison that I'm going to do it with is the Farsali Jelly Highlighter. I think that's what it's called now. I don't own that. The reason that I'm able to do this comparison, however, is because when I was in Sephora earlier on in the year in the US, me and my friend Selena, Miss Beauty Addict of YouTube, we did try it and test it out in person because we wanted to know what the hype was, what the big deal was, and whether spending something like £35 is justified for a teeny tiny little highlighter. Now, obviously Primark being Primark, and they copy and dupe everyone and every brand out there, they've obviously decided to do their own version of it quite recently. Now, altogether they have two shades, which is Rose Beam and Golden Beam. I believe that Farsali has three shades altogether. Those cost £35 each. These cost £4 each, which is super affordable. I have tried these out, and obviously I wanted to do a demo on camera for you guys as well. That's the reason why only half of my makeup is done. I've done my foundation, powdering, concealer, my eyes and everything. The only thing I haven't done is my cheeks. Now, first off, I have to say, when you open it, you have to be really careful. There's like a lid on here which says replace after use. It is very messy. Already bits of it have leaked out of the edges because obviously it is not a powder product. It is a liquidy kind of product. So they've got this bit in here which is actually, considering that I've got long nails, is difficult to take off. And then you remove the lip, like, you know when you drop bread with jam on it and it drops on the side of the jam? That just happened. This is messy, okay? So here it is, if you can see it. It looks like molten liquid. Now, this is really bothering me in front of me. I've got to lift it up. Oh. See, I'll be honest with you guys, this is one of the reasons why I'm not really a big fan of liquid highlighters in general. Regardless of what kind of texture they have, I always go for powder because it's less messy and it's a lot quicker in terms of getting ready in the morning. I would definitely suggest that if you were interested in getting this, if you've got time in the morning to blend it out and that sort of thing, great. Otherwise, just be like me and go for powder. It's just done in under 60 seconds. Now, I'm going to show this one to you up close. This is the shade, by the way, called Rose Beam. So here you can see how it is. Now, the difference with the Farsali one is if I shake it, it wobbles around a lot. This one doesn't. Now, I'm clearly obviously trying to make sure it doesn't fall in front of me, but even if you guys see me wobbling it, it's not really moving. It's not really wobbling that much. So the Farsali one is definitely a lot more liquidy than this, and it kind of can be applied and blended out a lot more easily than this one as well. As you can see, all around the edges it's kind of started to leak. I've used this shade once, so you can imagine what the state of this is going to be after a couple of weeks. It's going to be a mess, right? Now, like I said, in terms of its texture, it is a lot more thick than the Farsali one, and I would say that it feels it feels bouncy. That's the only way to describe it, like a bouncy kind of highlighter. I wouldn't necessarily call it jelly, because to me jelly wobbles. There's no jiggle in this thing's wiggle at all. It's just there. But when you touch it and press it, it's, how do I describe it? What's that dessert? Like a mousse. It's more like a mousse than a jelly. So let's get up close again. You see that? It's left a fingerprint, and there you can see the highlighter all over my finger. It is very pigmented on the other hand. So here you can see it's all over my finger, but I would definitely say that in terms of the Farsali one, you end up wasting a lot more than is necessary because it is so liquidy and it gets everywhere. You've got to be really careful with the amount you apply. Now, because this is a lot more thicker, you've got a little bit more control with it as to where it goes, aside from when you're trying to apply it, it's going all over my hands. Now, this can be worn anywhere. It can be worn on your body. It can be worn in your foundation. You can mix it in to give you a more kind of glowy, shimmery look. It can be used on the eyelids. It can be used on the tear duct. It can be used on your cheekbones and various other places. There are a variety of different ways you can apply this as well. You can apply this with a beauty blender. And now, if you do apply it with a beauty blender, make sure your beauty blender is dry. It's not damp. If it's damp, because the product is a little bit liquidy, some of the product will sink into the actual sponge, and also you will find that because your beauty blender is damp, it may move your foundation and your powder and then make it look patchy. If it's dry, you don't have to worry about that happening. You can also use a stippling brush. This is one of the old MAC stippling brushes. Look how stained it is. It's clean, by the way. It's just stained and old. But any kind of stippling brush will do. Or if you've got none of these, the best tools that God's given you, you can use your fingers. I actually find using my fingers to be one of the best ways where I can manipulate where it goes. Another thing is that I think that this is one of those really amazing buildable highlighters. When you start off applying it, it looks kind of sheer, and then you can layer it and build it up and build it up. It gives a really nice natural highlight to the skin, rather than with a powder which can be a little bit more unnatural. In the same sort of way, when you do contouring to your face, if you use a cream contour, it gives a lot more of a natural finish. When you use a powder contour, it's a little bit more unnatural. Obviously, creamy products still sit a lot better on your skin than powder, because creamy products will blend into your skin, whereas powder just kind of sits on top. So one of the reasons why I actually really think that this is pretty good is because it's kind of a mix between a powder and a liquid, like a complete watery liquid. It's like got a really nice sort of consistency to it. So in terms of how it compares to the Farsali one, other than the fact that it's a lot more liquidy, in terms of pigment, there is really not that much difference. It just depends on how much you apply. If you layer it and layer it and layer it, your highlight will become more and more and more intense. It's really great to use for those days where you want to go for really minimal kind of makeup. You don't want to even apply any foundation, but you want a little bit of sheen on your face. Just pat a little bit into with your fingers onto your cheekbones and onto any other high points of your face, and it will look like you're instantly naturally glowing. It's almost like a wet kind of glow, but it doesn't look greasy. You can also layer highlighting powders on top of it, but if you want to go even more intense. So it's up to you at the end of the day how you choose to apply it. But overall, I would definitely give this a 10 out of 10. I think they've done a really, really good job with it. They've got two really nice shades. What I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch them both on my hand for you side by side, just so that you can see what they look like. Let me show you as well what I mean about this whole moussey texture. Ugh, look at that. Gross. It has got that kind of mousse. See what I mean? It's gone all inside my nails, by the way. It's not great for people with long nails. So this one is Rose Beam. Because I applied it very thickly, you can see how it blends out. And that was a fair amount I had on my finger, but a little bit goes a really, really long way. And then what you need to do is you kind of need to wait for it to dry down. And then because it's still quite wet, it's not tacky, it's not sticky, but it does take a few minutes for it to actually dry down. And here is the other shade called Gold Beam. As you can see, this one will work amazingly on deep skin tones. The other one, not so much. Same sort of moussey texture like you can see here. And here's what it looks like in comparison to the other one. So this one is definitely a lot more gold. Both of these will work well on medium skin tones. For fair skin tones, I would stay away from the golden one. It won't really suit you so much. It will look like you've got mud on your cheekbones. And if you've got very deep skin, this one will look quite ashy on you, so definitely stick to the gold one. So hopefully from back here you can see the light shining off of them. So remember, this is just one layer, and this is the kind of sheer sort of glowy, wet looking highlight that you can have on your face. If you want it to become more intense, like I clearly will, I will layer it. Okay, so before I demo this for you, I'm just going to finish off the rest of my face first. Just do my contour quickly and my blush. Okay, now that my contour and my blush is done, just an FYI, I'm using the Pure Blush set from Primark, this colour here. And to contour, I use the Gold Rush highlighter palette. I use this shade down here called Treasure, which is a matte bronzer. I used a little bit because it's very, 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 very pigmented. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to apply it to your cheekbones using a dry beauty blender. So what you need to do is just take, it's already got a little bit of product in it because I just used it earlier just to test things out. So take your product, dip it in, and what will happen is only a little bit will come off, but that's fine because you don't want it to go in too heavy-handed. And then just start to tap it across your cheekbone gently. Don't force it in, don't press it in, just tap it. So as you can see, this shade is very subtle on me, but I'm just going to show you this on this side and then I'm going to show you the other one on the other side. So again, going in with the same beauty blender as this one has started to dry, and then go over it again. And what I tend to do is I tend to use my finger to manipulate where it goes as well. So as you can already see, that is quite a decent looking highlight. Bear in mind I have got like softbox lights on me, and this is not what it is like in natural daylight. In natural daylight it will look a little bit more shimmery and a little bit more golden. So it feels a little bit wet on the face when you first apply it, and then you let it dry. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in one last time and then pat it over the top. And now I'm going to just use my finger. So as you can see now, look at one side of my face here, and you can see on that side, you can see how that side has got a beautiful glow to it. Now what I'm going to do is, as it started to dry where the area where it meets my blushes, I'm just going to take my blush brush and just manipulate it slightly, not getting any extra product on this, just so that there is no harsh lines, because you can still get harsh lines, because obviously this is, the highlighter is actually going over my foundation and my powder and everything else. So you don't want there to be any patchiness or any like harsh lines. And that way I have now blended my blusher into the highlight, so it looks nice and seamless. Okay, so now I'm going to use the Rose Beam one on this side and on the other points of my face. And for this, we're going to use this duo fiber brush from MAC. Any fiber brush similar to this will do. It's going to look so weird with two different highlighters. Lucky I ain't going nowhere. So I'm not sure if you can tell, but quite a bit came off onto the brush. So I'm just going to wipe it in the lid. And now I'm just going to very gently pat it. And now I'm going to use my finger. Because like I said, I put too much on. I definitely have to say that using your finger works out best. No matter whether you use a beauty blender or a brush, your finger really kind of disperses the product and smooths it out, because it's not a powder. There's still quite a lot on this brush. So I'm going to go in again. Can you see how much more intense this one is? When you apply it with a brush, that is. Same as before with the same blush brush, no extra product. Just blend out the edges. So here you have the Rose Beam and here you have the Golden Beam. Now as you can see, I think that they both look absolutely beautiful. They're quite subtle, but they're still kind of not. I mean, they look more natural in terms of highlighting than powders do, definitely. But you've definitely got to put a bit of arm work into it, which not all of us have the time to do first thing in the morning on our way to work. It's definitely for those times when you've got a little bit more time. Sorry, I'm just faffing around it because I've got highlighter like literally everywhere. So I'm just going to do the rest of my face just using the remainder of here. I'm just going to throw on one of their new lipsticks that have just come out. It's in the shade called Cookie Dough. It's one of their super matte liquid lipsticks. Alright, let me just fix up my hair and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back. Just had to fix myself up. So, what do you guys think? Do you like it? Is it too much? Is it too little? I mean, let's be honest, it's super affordable. It's only £4, which is great. So here we go again. Golden Beam and Rose Beam. Both beautiful. Here's Golden Beam. No, here's Rose Beam. And here is Golden Beam. So what do you think? Which one are you going to get? Are you going to get them? They are very, very new. I swear they've only been out like a week or so. So hopefully you should be able to get it in store. Remember how Primark is, once it's gone and then that's it. So yes, I hope you guys found this review useful and helpful. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you've got any comments or questions about these products, let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I hope you guys are wonderful and great, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.